Hey guys, it's towniesimbuilds here, and welcome back to another bite-sized speed build. So, as you can tell from the title of today's video, we are currently working on some 𝗪𝗛𝗡𝗞𝗦 apartments, and you're probably wondering, what the heck are they exactly? I had the idea kind of spur of the moment. I was trying to think of something unique for apartment buildings, especially because the For Rent expansion pack has been out for a while, and simmers have pretty much created a whole gamut of different multi-household buildings. From condos, townhouses, you name it. So this is my own take. I'm actually in the world of Mount Komorebi at the moment, and this is actually a tiny house. And unfortunately, I cannot remember if this is a tier 1 or tier 3, but eventually this does have a total of 100 tiles. This actually contains 4 different units, and of course, because this is an 𝗪𝗛𝗡𝗞𝗦 apartment complex, each of the different units actually caters to a different skill set for your sim. So I imagine this is very cool for maybe a college student or a group of college students, but of course this could be for a loner sim, a couple, you name it. Anyways, we're currently working on the outside now, and just like the name implies, these are in fact roughly cubes. I can't say they're perfectly square, but they do have a very fun and abstract look. And you can see I'm actually pulling some debug objects for the balconies themselves. And for some odd reason, the tiny home system is a little bit faulty. So I created everything. This had a total of 100 tiles, but unfortunately, as soon as I added in that fencing or railing, I added several more tiles instead. So unfortunately, I did have to resort to using debug, which I really didn't mind too much. I do think the walls I chose did match the exterior walls. And at the end of the day, this is still a small house technically, so you will get a lot of the benefits of getting skills faster, and this is absolutely perfect for all of the artistic and creative sims living in this space. Going back to the outside, of course, we are still doing a lot of the landscaping. I did want to keep it fairly simplistic, so I did pull some of the debug bamboo pieces, and of course some nice daisies and hedge pieces as well from the base game. I also did want to try to take some inspiration from Mount Komorebi, so we are using a few of the debug power poles, or electric poles I should say, and a fire hydrant as well. And of course, I'm now trying to place a few debug cars. So I do believe each unit has 1 car. I do think that is fairly sufficient, and fitting them in was a little bit tricky. I do have some sort of carports underneath certain units, but of course there is a little bit of outdoor parking as well, again using a lot more of those debug fence pieces to create some designated parking areas. Now, apart from the parking areas, I do want to say that there is one more space that I'll actually circle back to later on in this build, and it will be a full-on community garden. But of course, we're finishing off the outside for the most part. I'm putting in some of the Snowy Escape mailboxes, and of course, some of my favorite base game lamps as well, just to add some light to the outside. But going on in, we are starting on our first unit, and I do believe this unit is for a musician sim. Now, I will be completely honest with you guys, I did not really have a true game plan going into this in terms of layout. Obviously, with each of the different apartment units, I do want to say that each of the apartments has about 25 tiles of space. So we're fitting in somewhat of a full kitchen, we do have a bathroom, and then some kind of living space that includes a bed and then some other kind of activity. So you do have a look at the little kitchenette here. It is mostly comprised of different appliances and counter spaces from the Snowy Escape pack. But of course, we do have some tiny living in this build, and it just has really fun objects that did fit the vibe of the apartment complex. So we do have that really nice shelf unit from the tiny living pack, and now I'm creating just another shelf to the right. I'm using some eco lifestyle fern or flower pots, if you will, and then also a hot pot for decoration there. Going to the bed, I'm just adding in a simple nightstand from the Tiny Living pack. We do have these really wonderful and colorful sort of paper lanterns from the Snowy Escape pack as well, so I did want to use those. I'm also trying to work out the living space here, so I'm using the full bookcase and TV unit from the Tiny Living pack. I'm using a little bit of Snowy Escape mixed with the debug chairs from the Eco Lifestyle pack as well. And then as a quick note, each of these different apartment units has this very tall vertical dresser from the Tiny Living pack as well, which unfortunately, you guys, I do have to admit this, I was actually doing gameplay testing last night, and my goodness, the routing issues were there, you guys. I had to really squeeze and shift things over to really make this place traversable for your sims. So the layout you're seeing here will change ever so slightly, but I do promise everything should work just fine. Anyways, I'm gabbing on. We are now moving on to the little bathroom space. And I do think it is fairly straightforward. I do use a mixture of base game with the tiny living appliances as well. And eventually I go for this really nice sort of white tile as well. Moving to the next unit, we do enter the writer's space, and this is honestly a very fun space. You will see a ton of books everywhere, but this is just a look at the kitchenette. Now, one really cool thing I want to note about this apartment complex is the fact that every unit is actually different in terms of layout. So I couldn't get the bathroom, the kitchen, the bed space to fit in the exact same spaces, but they do adapt to where the windows and doors are positioned. So we do have a little bit more of a narrow hallway into this space, so I do use this really cool snowy escape object that I treat kind of like a key rack, if that makes sense. And you can see I'm also trying to put in a few books on this eco lifestyle object as well. Thank goodness for this white base game shelf. It really makes this so much easier for me, especially because I don't use tool. But of course, we do have many more bookcases to come, so I'm using this wonderful option from the Snowy Escape pack. And again, using this shelf hack to include some more books. I do believe I pulled some books from the Tiny Living pack, base game, and also this very beautiful orchid flower from the Snowy Escape pack as well. Now for the desk area, unfortunately, I could not fit in a proper dining spot, but I thought the writer's desk definitely took priority here. So I'm using a combination of a lot of different things. I'm using the Eco Lifestyle debug desk, I believe, that is fabricated, so I do use that. I do eventually use the Tiny Living chair and also the base game laptop. And of course, you're seeing me create a sort of little custom shelf option. So we do have a lot of base game books, and I do want to include some very interesting details, including this little tiny dragon sculpture. So it's kind of a nod to the genre the writer could be writing in, perhaps some nice fantasy novels. And completing the look, I'm just adding a Snowy Escape rug just to make the floor nice and cushy there. Right now, I'm just finishing off the kitchen area, and I do try to alternate some of the pots and pans holders from the game. So I'm using this option from base game, and then also using this base game knife set as well. But of course, we are now moving on to the second floor, and the second floor had a very interesting challenge, you guys. Obviously, if you guys saw, these units have some very lovely balconies. However, because of the placement of the sliding doors per se, there is a little bit more of a challenge in terms of creating the layout in these spaces. So obviously, you guys, right off the bat, you'll notice the bathroom is no longer square and is no longer 4 tiles. It is actually only 3 tiles wide by 1 tile in depth, so we only have room for the Snowy Escape shower, the toilet, and the sink. And of course, because the layout is a little bit different, I do use tile for the flooring instead, especially being that the shower kind of spills water right into the bathroom itself. So it's not exactly the most realistic, but I do think it does the trick, and it certainly functions with your Sims as well. Now, speaking to this particular apartment unit, I did want to try and design this unit for a woodcarver sim. So this is taking full advantage of the balcony space, given that the individual inside unit really does not have much space to use. I was thinking of the wood carving bench, and I just knew off the top of my head it was not going to fit inside, especially if I did have a full bed and all of the essential objects here. So we will see that space later on. I will actually develop a painter station and the wood carving station separately once I finish the inside. But for this particular unit, I tried to design this space to reflect the particular craft of this sim. So you will see a lot of natural wood tones here with the Snowy Escape objects, the Tiny Living objects, and of course the Eco Lifestyle objects as well. I did really enjoy these leaf sculptures from the Eco Lifestyle pack, and of course these very beautiful woodblock prints from the Snowy Escape pack as well. And for some reason, you guys, I figured that the sim living here would be very in touch with nature. So we do have a lot of plants throughout the build. I do use a few objects from the Eco Lifestyle pack and also base game, and of course some lovely hanging plant sets from the Tiny Living pack as well. Now, of course, I do want to note one other thing. I was playtesting this build quite a lot, and for some reason, you guys, counters are just so finicky. They're so finicky in this game. So I was trying to be sparse with my clutter, but unfortunately, the gameplay was just not having it. Sims were not able to use the counters, so I do apologize if some things got shifted around, but overall, the aesthetic is pretty much how it looks throughout this video. Anyways, we're moving on to our final unit, and this is the painter sim. So I do use the Murphy bed once more. That was actually a very big difference moving up to the second floor units. Because space was so limited, because space was so crammed, I figured that Murphy beds made better sense here. So your Sims have a full bed to sleep on, but also a nice love seat that they can use as well to kind of serve as a potential dining place as well. Now, the artist unit was super fun. I tried making a little accent table that you guys saw, holding some of the artistic supplies that they would be using. So they do have some possible colored pencils, charcoal pencils. They did have a little human figurine from the debug, I do believe. And of course, some canvas pieces as well, which I actually do change out for the eco lifestyle object instead. You guys saw I had to shrink down that canvas so much, it just didn't really fit, but I will update it and you will see it in the final cinematics as well. Using this very, very tiny hallway, I do cram in the dresser, and I also put in a few figure drawings as well. So I think this is a really cool place for the painter sim to sort of hang their work and see their progress. But of course, their true craft does take place outside. So this is going to be the front-facing balcony area, and of course, just using a lot of base game here. So we do have the base game easel, we have the painter's stand, and also the infant update object as well. Which I guess if you use your imagination, they could be possible paint tubes, possible watercolors perhaps. But you know, it wouldn't be complete without a nice sitting area, so I'm using a combination of eco lifestyle and tiny living once more with these lovely poofs. I love these poofs, you guys. I wish they worked as beanbags as well, but I do think they do the trick here. Now, using eco lifestyle, I also created this really interesting trellis effect. You guys see that the sliding door is not perfectly centered with the windows downstairs, but I thought this trellis effect added a nice sense of balance and a nice little architectural element as well. This, of course, is the wood carver's balcony. So again, keeping with the theme, I did add in this vertical garden as well that seemed to blend in very nicely with the trellis. And of course, some seemingly handcrafted chairs, some reupholstered chairs from the eco lifestyle pack. So I think that pretty much does the trick there. Completing this build now is arguably one of my favorite areas, and this is of course the community garden. And I guess going into this build, I had the idea of this lot being somewhat eco-friendly. Unfortunately, we don't have windmills or solar panels per se, but I figured that the smaller eco footprint of this lot in tandem with a lot of plants and garden elements would be really nice for this complex. So we do have this very, very small and narrow garden that all of the Sims can use, but I really do enjoy how this comes out in the end. We do use the birdhouse object from the eco lifestyle pack, of course combined with some debug plants from the Snowy Escape pack and also the base game rocks as well. We do have a nice little sitting area here, again using the Snowy Escape bench, and also more of these lovely bamboo pieces, also from Snowy Escape's debug. Honestly, I just really enjoy the foliage from this pack, even though I do wish a lot of this was more accessible in the main section of the game itself. Obviously, this is a community garden, so this would not be complete without some planter boxes, so I do use a few of these basic circular options here. You guys probably saw that I added in a few more of these lovely potted plant objects from the Snowy Escape pack, which unfortunately are not interactive, but we do at least have a couple more of these vertical gardens from the eco lifestyle pack as well. Finishing off this area, I also use a debug fountain from the Snowy Escape pack, which honestly creates a really nice ambience during the day. Also touching up the lot with a few more pieces, just another lamp, and also a sign piece as well from the Snowy Escape pack. But of course, moving on, there are only a few more details left. I'm just creating a nice area for a vending machine if your Sims get a little peckish, and also an area for trash and recycling. Now, because I did imagine that some of these apartments would be a little bit more industrial in nature, I did want to add that element of realism with possible utility boxes and some possible plumbing sticking out from the building as well. So honestly, I just thought they were really fun details. And other than that, the last thing we will add is actually a Snowy Escape sign just to complete the lot and serve as a nice finishing touch for this complex. Alright guys, and that is a wrap on the Art Cube apartments in the world of Mount Komorebi. Overall, I really hope you guys enjoyed my take on apartment living, and of course, if you do want to see more multi-household lots, please feel free to share your ideas in the comments as well. Just like always, this is still a no CC, no mod limited pack build, and will be available on the Sims 4 gallery as well. I will leave you guys now with the final lot specs, along with the final cinematic shots, so you can see how everything turned out in the end. And of course, just like always, this has been towniesimbuilds, signing off. Thank you so much for watching, guys.